something I find really interesting that you mentioned about mindfulness is that being mindful, I think, is different from being meditative. So I would say that mindfulness is a precursor to a meditative state. So you can be in a meditative state while you're playing a sport. You can be in a meditative state while you're writing. You can be in a meditative state while you're painting, doing art, surfing, running. All of those things can induce a meditative state where you're very present, very in the moment. And so I think that mindfulness is the precursor towards that meditative state, and being able to understand what you need to get to that meditative state. What are the environmental factors that come into play, and then what are the internal factors that come into play. So something that I've realized in coaching and playing and generally just doing things and trying to be in a constant state of meditation, and you learn how to walk and meditate, and that's kind of the Buddha Bodhisattva idea of meditation, is that you're constantly in this meditative state and moving from place to place, present in the moment, nowhere else. There's no desire to be elsewhere. And a part of mindfulness that can help you to get there is by understanding what gets you to a meditative space. And you can do that through mindfulness. So something that I realized while I was playing was, if I wasn't in a meditative or a flow state, I was thinking, am I over aroused or under aroused? And then from there, kind of as the behaviorist perspective we were talking about, then you're able to approximate what you need to do to actually get there. And so something that I found very helpful were breathing techniques. So a few that I found one was tumo breathing, which is an ancient Tibetan breathing technique, is where your lungs are very full and you're breathing very shallow. So it's similar to this. I'll try to get as close as I can. So you're breathing in through your nose, and that's actually activating your autonomic nervous system. So you're increasing the amount of cortisol, because there's also there's a synergistic relationship between cortisol and dopamine. And I had a conversation about a week ago about drug addiction with my friend Owen, and we talked about that synergistic relationship being out of cue for people that are drug addicts. So a lot of the time they're trying to reinstate that homeostatic area for them. And so by increasing cortisol, you're increasing your arousal level. Now I'm all aroused. And and then a way to move the other way is a different breathing technique, where you take 2 sharp inhales and 1 long exhale. So it sounds like this. And so that's a way that so even when I'm doing my podcast with people, if I find that I'm drifting elsewhere, or I'm too focused, too wired on one thing, then I'll be practicing those in the background. So I'm sure I'm sure on occasion people can hear me and they're like, I hope he's okay. So those are things that I find that help to find that consistent meditative state, finding that area of understanding that that area exists of optimal athletic, and not even athletic, but optimal life performance. That area exists, and to be able to find that more consistently, that's something that people should be striving towards. And I think that mindfulness is perhaps the best way to find that, in that being present and understanding your internal environment is probably the best way to find a way that you can actually exit your internal environment and just allow for your body to take over completely.